bylaws do say the appointment should happen in January. We're already a little behind, but you do have the ability to push this to the next meeting. You also have the ability to push this even further out if you prefer to wait until the bylaw amendments to set a code structure.
Can I just ask a question? Sure. So am I hearing you that we could have Bessie preside over this meeting? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we would vote on that?
I don't know if you need a vote on that.
Okay.
It's just
So we
like
can
last
just
time
do
we're-
that?
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Great.
Alright. So is that clear?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so now I'm gonna open the floor, for commissioners to express interest in serving as co-chair and for discussion of this topic.
Oh, prior to that, I have actually another question.
Yeah.
So I understand that we have a lot of pending confirmations.
Yes.
Can you give me an update on that?
Sure. There are 6 pending confirmations mules here, that are in the queue, and I believe they will be heard on the 25th, which is next Tuesday.
Next week?
Yes, next week.
Okay.
And so can I tell you?
Potentially have 6 votes that are not at this table that could be if we postpone the vote.
I think there's, well, Officer Mullins is a reappointment, Joseph Stay is a reappointment, so they're already here. So there are 3 individuals,
Okay.
Douglas Wagner, council appointee, Suzette Dickerson, mayoral appointee, and Monisha Harrell, mayor appointee, that will be the only 3 new.
Okay.
And then, and Scott Bosler, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So there's 4. And
There's 4.
And when do we have the new CPC appointees who will be confirmed?
We don't have any CBC appointees who will be confirmed. We have reappointments, we have interviews, we have reappointments.
Okay.
Yeah. So we do have 3 CBC seats that are open.
Right.
Yes.
And that gives some context to my question, is because it seems like we're missing a lot of the CPC appointments in this vote, and so that seems a challenge, so I'm just putting that out there.
Well, since I stepped away from the chair, then the people who are at the table are the people who are actually engaged in doing the work right now. And so the new people will be coming in the same kind of way that we had this in May that actually has caused the perfect storm that we're still trying to recover from. To bring a lot of new people in at one time, this has, well, we bring in people who've already been appointed too, but there is a really challenge in bringing a lot of people on at one time who has not been involved in the work and how to get that going again. And so that's what we're still struggling with right now, is to get the enthusiasm and get to the place where actually we have that good working relationship that we've always had in the past. So, I mean, I would recommend that we go along to go today and then have be able to be working on governance and everything for when the new people do come on.
Well, I'm also being particularly mindful of the fact that Emma will not have a vote today, but could potentially be confirmed in the future to be able to have a vote. So I want to make sure that we enter into this process in a fair way. So I'm just letting everybody know that that's where I stand. It seems to me that a vote today would be, it would be kind of forcing the issue from my perspective. And that said, we can move forward with the slate of co-chairs. I'm fine with that. We can have further discussion if others have perspective on this.
I have a, go ahead. No, I just have a question for commissioners. I wasn't necessarily in the room, but I know that one of the first meetings that a lot of the more recently appointed commissioners attended was the one where Lopez had resigned and commissioners were reappointing an interim, and I know that there have been discussions about how that was not the best way to enter into the commission, is making such a critical decision at that time. So I'm just wondering what folks' perspectives are on that, is kind of giving new commissioners the burden of that choice, you know, and I don't know if it would be a burden or not, but just wanted to offer that up as a discussion point.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable with moving forward with the election, just because I think, I don't know, it just feels like such a political thing to have need 2-3 people to vote that has no history and no commitment to the CPC. And so there's something that just feels wrong about that, as far as that. I do think that, yes, while Emma Emma's vote was stripped in a process that was pretty crappy. But Emma's still here with us, and I would still like to hear Emma's thoughts, if we do move the process forward. But I have I don't feel like we need to wait for the vote.
I agree with that. I think based on how Emma's vote was stripped, full transparency makes me really upset. A lot of the work that we're doing here and the work that I try to bring is always, always, always centering Black, Indigenous, and people of color's voices at the table. To not have her voice at the table is, in my opinion, directly impacting that and challenging that. We are centering in those conversations. It does make me concerned that those 3 appointments that would be mayoral appointments that would probably swing with what the mayor wants, rather than what the commission who's been here doing the work since they had left. So that is a deep concern to me. That has no reflection on either one of you, but just
And let's not forget Reverend Walden is also a mayor
and
appointee.
Reverend
So-
Walden. I also think that the way Reverend Walden, I mean, the conversations that we've had, and based on what has happened to Emma and that decision, I'm not concerned about that. The 3 people that we would be bringing on, I don't know them. So that's influencing my decision to want to just move the vote to today. I'm sad that Emma can't vote too, but it makes me more uncomfortable. I feel like it would be more of a risk to wait for those 3 appointees to be added. That's just my opinion.
Other discussion, comments?
Yeah, I'm comfortable moving forward today with the vote. And I think to your question, I think when I was a new commissioner, it took me a long time to get onboarded and understand the process and understand all the different things at play, and it would have been challenging for me to make a vote right when I got on.
I'm struck by a lot of animosity and distrust and frustration. I'm hearing that in everyone's voices, and I'm not as concerned about bringing other people on, but I am concerned about the sowing of seeds of discontent as a way to control this body. And unfortunately, I found your email yesterday very disturbing, because 2 meetings ago we were informed that Emma had not been reappointed. So in trying to, get everybody riled up, you've actually impacted the whole situation, and I don't think that that's necessarily appropriate. I think that I'm hearing a lot of emotion, and I think that in that situation, we should be waiting until much later to have the vote and let those people come on board, because we're looking at a situation in which there is undue influence by a situation that, she wasn't reappointed 2 meetings ago. Her vote wasn't struck this week. And
She
that
said
was
what?
I'm sorry, that's
No, no, no,
incorrect.
that's
Let me
incorrect.
clarify
Okay,
it
let's
for
see,
you.
I tried to say it
So
correct.
she was actually in position 19 as holdover, and Colleen Echohawk was in position 16. So Colleen was moved from 16 to 19, which effectively unseated Emma Katani.
But she wasn't reappointed. She was told she
She
wasn't
was
being
a
reappointed.
She was
She was still
holdover.
a holdover.
Okay.
That's right, that's
And so
what
with
she was
full
holdover.
authority to vote and
That's
to be
right.
a co-chair. So there's technicalities here
That's right.
that I checked with the city attorney's office. So I don't see discontent, I just tell facts. And so
Yeah,
the
thank you,
facts
Bessie.
are that was an unseating. And I checked with 3 city attorneys because I wanted to make sure, before I even checked with our own attorney. And so I've had many conversations, and I actually thought that giving you the information was me being transparent at the same time.
Thank you.
So you won't act like I'm actually the person who's sowing that. What I feel is there seems to be some issues here in the commission, and what I've tried to do is be as transparent as possible in my role, and double check the facts, triple check the facts, and what happened, that technicality, although it was missed by us early on January 14th, unseated Emma, and that has nothing to do with any untruth or any ill content.
Oh, no, I'm not saying
Because it feels
anything
like
about
you were directing that toward
No,
me, and I
that's
don't
not,
appreciate it.
that was not my intent. My
Okay.
intent was understanding a holdover is a holdover, but it's still was a seat that was going to be filled, resulting in Emma no longer being on the commission unless reappointed. So that, as a holdover, only until someone was appointed into that position.
There was no reason to appoint a
switch.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So,
Karen.
whether or not Emma was gonna be in that seat, the fact is, the mayor's office intentionally moved Colleen to that seat in order to assist Emma.
Why are we arguing
And that's the
about this?
concern, is that interference that's at play.
That's
And
interference.
that, honestly, like, as a staff member, that's incredibly disturbing to me, that they would make the conscious decision, because we looked into it, there was no reason to move her seat. The seats that Colleen was in and Emma was in, they're both mayoral appointed, the terms are exactly the same. There was just no reason, it was an intentional decision, and we actually reached out to the mayor's office yesterday to ask why they made that decision in case we were missing something. They never got back to us. So that's just a point of concern that our executive director was pointing out to the rest of the commission, because when there is potential interference at play, like, we think everyone should know.
And I also want to make sure that everybody knows that Colleen Echohawk had nothing to do with any of this, so we don't assume her involvement at all. And I want to honor her and let you know that her seat was fine to stay where she was, because she still was, she actually also did not need to be reappointed officially. She still would have been able to vote today. So I know the technicalities make it seem a lot of very you versus us versus them, tit for tat. I don't want to devolve into that.
Right, that's
and
what,
so-
that was the baseline of my point, was that there's so much, you know, I wouldn't go as far as anger, but frustration at the table. It feels like a bit of a break is needed to have that conversation, to figure out where people are coming from, because, you know, there's been a lot of suspicion focused on people that are here doing the work when, you know, who have no idea what's going on, and I don't know, that feels like a bad place to make a decision from.
Yes, Reverend Walden and then Esther, that was it.
Oh, well, go ahead, Esther.
Oh, and so I was gonna say, like, based upon that email yesterday, and I had no idea that the seats were, you know, specific. And learning that, I think it's important for this commission to maintain integrity. All the more reason I recommend that we make a decision to postpone the vote until Emma can actually have a vote. To me, that's the right thing to do, but.
I also like for people who have not maybe read the legislation, we have a no retaliation and no interference clause in that. And the reason why it's there is because in order to do police reform, you have to be independent. You have to be independent of all of the authorities, and that's why the CPC was set up like the ethics committee, to be independent. And what we have right now is real interference from the mayor's office, and it is against what was in the legislation. Paul's said that there should be no interference that way, and so there's that piece that continues to go on. And that's why, you know, we always have a city attorney with us and stuff like that to make sure that it is an independent body in the city with the citizen commissions and staff that works for the city.
Question.
Hi,
Is
everyone.
that
This is Colleen,
interference?
and I'm on a plane, and it's going to take off shortly. But I just wanted to reiterate what Betsy mentioned, that I just had no idea about how the reappointment was going to work. And I did talk with the mayor's office last night and asked them to please give an explanation about why that happened and what happened. So I'm hopeful that that will happen today. And you know, it's just I feel really bad for Emma, and just regret that happened. I also just wanted to echo with Esther on the phone here that, or I heard her over the phone, that I think that we should postpone the election until we can get all of this figured out. So that's my 2 cents from the plane, and I'm about to take off to Oakland here in just a minute.
So, my question is does that no interference clause also apply to CPC commissioners? Okay. That's good to know.
Okay, what say you? Would you like to put a motion on the floor to appoint a slate or hold a discussion?
No, we actually have an update to the slate, so is it possible to update that?
Yes.
So I will just let you know from, we actually met, based upon the input from the broader commission to try to come together and create some sort of a slate that made sense for everybody with representation from the appointing bodies. In that meeting, we were told that the slate that Reverend Walden put forward already meets those expectations and that there wasn't going to be any change in that slate. And so there really wasn't any opening for conversation around that. So I will tell you from our slate, Erin has decided to pull back, step back, and really ground herself in the work of the governance committee, which I'm grateful for because she probably knows the bylaws better than any other commissioner. I'm really grateful for that level of expertise, and I'm grateful for Erin's expertise in being able to help us with, a little adding structure through the governance committee. That said, Brandy and I would like to put ourselves forward as a slate with the expectation that the CPC, when we have enough CPC appointed commissioners, then put forward the third representative from the CPC appointing body. And that is where we are right now with this slate. Is that accurate, Brandy? Would you like to add something?
No, I wouldn't. You said it perfectly.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there another slate that would like to put forward?
I think that the set that we had put forward previously, which included Golden, Reverend Williams, and myself.
And my last question is, do you want to vote today or not?
I want to vote today.
Yes, today.
Show of hands for today. On the phone?
Yes.
Can you go around and state your name and your vote for today so we can record it?
You're Reverend Walden for the day, vote today.
Erin Goodman, Bricosta.
Esther Lucero, no vote.
Vote today.
Alina Santillan, vote today.
Carissa Markel, vote today.
Joseph Sia, vote today.
Postpone.
And on the phone, commissioners? Oh, Pachi, sorry.
Colleen Echohawk, and I vote no.
Okay.
Dr. Gavin, vote today.
Aaron Williams, vote today.
7 yes, 4 no.
Okay, we'll vote today. Would anybody like a motion to entertain their slate for a vote?
Well, can I ask a question? This is Emma. So if we're voting today, I have no vote at all.
Right.
That's what it is. So basically, I don't exist for being here.
We wanted you to call in just because we know that we might want to have something to say, but we know that you are being appointed. I know, I think yesterday was pretty hard for you and just wanted you to be on the phone. We couldn't, we recognize that you're in the Philippines right now and the time zone is really hard, but we appreciate that. We just, I mean, I'm not chairing the meeting right now, and we will have a motion on the floor in a few minutes probably, but I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciated the work and all of the commitments and stuff like that. Just personally, I just wanted to be able to say that publicly to you, and to let you know that that I have the utmost respect for you, Emma, and the work that you continue to do in the community, and I appreciate the time, because it's nighttime there probably, and it's already Thursday there, so anyway, just wanted to let you know that, and I know other people around the table might want to just have a little something to say to them.
Yeah, Emma, this is Alina. I can't imagine how it must feel to feel what you just shared and feeling like you don't exist. I personally am bringing you to the table with me. I understand it being frustrating for you not having a vote. I think that based on who I know you are, how you've shown up in community, I see you outside of the CPC table in community. I don't just hear you talking about it, I see you in community. And I think the reason that I'm wanting to push the vote today is standing in solidarity with what I think you represent. I'm really grateful for the way that you have led the CPC. I know that that was has been a very difficult job, which is why I'm not running for a co-chair position. So I wanted you to know that I appreciate you as well, and that wanting to push this vote forward actually is in solidarity with who I think you represent and what you bring to community.
And Emma, I'm gonna vote for you. This is Joseph. Thank you for your commitment to community. And as I vote, I'm thinking about our community and why we came to this table initially. So I don't want you to feel like you're invisible, Emma, because you've done a lot to bring others along with you. And so glad you're here on the phone with us.
Thank you. Well, I think for me, I just want to say to all the commissioners that I do appreciate all the support that I get. I think I'm more geared to the mayor office, the way they treated me. I just, this is being, I expected it from the mayor because they don't, honestly, I feel personally that they've been attacking me the way it is. But I just don't understand why, they have to put calling on the number 19 went to the number 16. I just don't understand, why they're doing this at the last minute. They could have had it early on so that they give us, enough time, to understand the whole process of this. And for me, the mayor has no right, to even, get into this kind of process. That's never done. We said we're independent, so I just don't understand why he's doing it. And it's specifically for me. I feel like I'm being harassed by them, and really singled out. And this is very disrespectful to our community. It's because I represent the community, and it's not just me being me. And I make the commitment to the CPC to represent the community. And so I do appreciate everyone on behalf of the CPC and the commissioner that understand our roles and responsibility. And I will continue to fight on it if I have to. Not because I want to be in that position, but I feel that I still have responsibility to represent the community that I serve. And so I thank you guys. Again, I feel awkward because I'm on the phone, but I definitely feel like, again, I have no vote.
Hey, Emma, this is Esther. I just wanted to say, I can totally respect and understand your feelings. I think that this commission has an opportunity to kind of right that wrong by postponing the vote so you can actually have a vote at the table. So I just wanted to know that that continues to be my position. I think that your voice is valuable. I think that your contributions have been valuable. And I really wish you could just have a vote.
Can I ask a question? So, I get that there are a lot of commissioner dynamics at play, and I'm here by dint of my membership in SPMA, so I'm not appointed by anyone, as is Mark. My issue is a little bit more pedestrian. I'm not sure I'm clear on what the strategic goal of the commission is, and if that's a function of who is the chair, then that's something I'm kind of interested in, because for instance, if the commission started really as an outflow of what happened beginning in 2012, and that work was sort of continued for, you were formalized in 2015 or whenever that was, and you kind of been doing work, and it's been focused in a particular way. And that has sort of been to the exclusion of some other things. So, for instance, when we had the shooting last month at 3rd and Pine, there were a lot of community concerns in that area revolving around enforcement actions and what the response was going to be. And there's been really this kind of abiding sort of business concern across the city related to enforcement and all those sorts of issues. And that's not something that I have, now I've been coming to meetings for about a year now, and that's something that hasn't really percolated to the surface of anything. There have been, it doesn't seem to have been congruent with what I perceive to be the de facto strategic direction of the commission. So for me, it seems like that's an important piece that's being left by the wayside. It's hard to talk about how the police is interacting with a number of communities if you're not also figuring out, okay, how are we going to do enforcement that creates a functional reality for the people living in the city at the same time as we're addressing these other concerns. So I'm not sure that you can do one without the other, but the commission sort of has tried to. And there's a big gap, I mean, because you're not really addressing the biggest part of why a police department exists, which is how do we resolve community concern? How do we resolve business concerns? Businesses are closing because of the enforcement issues related to the opioid epidemic. And that's not been a topic of discussion here. So, I mean, there are some other ancillary issues that the commission talks about, but not really focused in on the things that right now officers are having to do out on the street, where the staffing impacts our ability to conduct enforcement and all of that. So that comes back to my issue, which is kind of, okay, what's the strategic goal? A slate, it shouldn't be a popularity contest. Let's pick this group of people instead of that group of people.
Hi.
You're like, what?
Hey, Mark, this is Colleen on the phone, and I'm literally like second to take out. And I just want to say, I think you are so incredibly right on. I appreciate your remarks so much, and I think that's been something we've been lacking on the commission. We haven't been able to get a strategic plan, even though we tried a year and a half ago, and it was a disaster, and we just have a ton of work around aligning ourselves with this work. So I don't know if this is worst of all, but I just want to say that my vote is for Esther and Brandy. I want to thank everyone for stepping up and doing all of this amazing work. And I'm going to have to hang up. And I also want to say I really wish we could hold back this vote until Emma could be with us. So thank you all. I'm sorry that I'm going to have to hang up now.
Safe travels. Safe travels.
Thank you, Colin.
Anyways, I can stop. That's the lion's share of what I was going to say anyhow.
Can we vote?
There's a motion.
A motion to vote?
I second.
Please put forward your slate if you wish to entertain a motion. Who seconds Pachi's motion?
Second.
Any discussion on this?
Hold on, can we back up?
Yeah.
Are you making a motion to take the vote today, or are you making a motion to present the slate? Right, there was a hand-raising, informal roll call. Are you treating that as the decision to vote today?
I think we should do a motion for the vote. If you don't consider that as a motion,
Well, it's cleaner if we,
yeah, do
if we
that.
formalize it, so.
So is there a formal motion to vote today? Please roll call your responses.
Okay, we're gonna do that again?
Yes.
Okay, yes, to vote today, the third. This is my second time.
First we need a motion and then a second.
Oh,
Okay, I file a motion to vote.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Is there a
second.
All right, now the roll call to vote.
yes.
All right, Aaron, Esther,
Vote today.
Vote today.
Vote today.
Vote today.
About, postpone, sorry.
Today.
Aaron?
Vote today.
can we count Colleen's no? Or is she, because she's not on the phone?
She's not on the phone.
Okay, I just wanted to keep that. Okay, the motion carries with 7 votes for yes. Is there a motion to entertain a slate?
Just process, each slate has to introduce themselves.
And before a vote.
Please name.
Name your slate in total. Yeah.
This is Patrick. I move to put our slate forward. The slate consists of Reverend Walden, Reverend Williams, and myself.
Is there a second to
I
the motion?
second the motion.
Please roll call your votes for this slate.
So we do it one at a time, I'm just.
Yeah. I can actually, would you like me to clarify with the city attorney?
Yeah, just clarify how you do the actual vote.
So how would we do the actual vote, is the commissioner's question? Would we go around with the roll call again?
You could do, as long as we have to. No, it doesn't necessarily have to be a hand raising or a roll call.
So it's up to you.
Roll call would be clearer for me as a record keeper.
Yeah, roll call.
It's up to you.
Very bossy today.
I'm gonna do each slate.
But you
It works, Joseph, it works.
Well, there is no other slate right now because the motion on the floor is one. And that's what we're voting on now. If there's no, well, we got a second, right? So if for some reason, if that motion does not receive enough support and vote, that motion fails, and then there can be a second motion made. If there is no second motion made, the item dies and gets continued to another agenda if we choose to hear it at the meeting.
All right. Roll call. Can you read the motion?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just logging back.
We're recording.
Okay, Reverend Walden,
Yes.
Can you read the motion?
Can you say the
I'll
motion
just-
again,
all right,
Sasha?
Asha, the motion on the floor is to approve Reverend Harriet Walden, Pachi Dalve, and Reverend Aaron Williams as CPC co-chairs for 2020. Reverend Walden,
Yes.
Aaron Goodman,
No.
Asha Mohammed,
No.
Esther Lucero,
No.
Officer Mullins,
Yes.
Melina Santana,
Yes.
Carissa Marcella,
Yes.
Joseph Sayah,
Yes.
Brandy Grant,
I'm sorry, no.
Pachi Dalve,
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan,
Aaron?
Williams on the phone.
Aaron Williams,
Reverend Williams?
Yes.
thank you. 7 yeses, 4 noes.
The motion carries.
Congratulations, chairs.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the next topic then.
Congratulations, Aaron. Aaron Williams, Reverend Williams.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All right, I'll take the next item, action items from the February 5th meeting. The first action item is to forward Scott Bachler's appointment to position 18 of the CPC as a representative of SPMA, the city council. That was done, and Scott and I will be sitting together at the table on Tuesday, the 25th, for his council confirmation.